All right, here we go. We are live. I hope we are live. I am in the city and there is a ton of noise going on today. So hopefully, let me see. Hopefully you're going to be able to hear me when I move my microphone a little bit more. All right, let's do this. So today, as always, we have a very fun topic. I feel like I say that every week. I'm getting over a cold. Sorry. All right. So today we have a fun topic. Own your niche, attract your people. I love this topic on so many reasons, on so many levels, for so many reasons. I think this is one of the things that people, let me just make sure. Yeah, I am recording. Okay. I think this is one of the topics where people can get in a spin. You know, I love my spins. People can get in a spin, and I've been there, done that for a lot of reasons. But most of you know me that I started back in 2007. And so I've gone, I've done my own spins and I've gone from here to there on the thought process on this. But when I think about it realistically, I'm going to go into some of the things that I really think when we get deeper into this, and maybe this will help you a little bit in what you do and how you do it. So own your niche, attract your people. All about positioning and niche dominance. I don't know if I still have it, but I used to have a domain about dominating. Anyway, I don't remember. Anyway, it's basically how to go from generic to expert by getting laser clear on who you serve and why they should choose you. So you don't need a bigger audience, you just need a sharper position. And think about this, everything is about position. If you look at shoes, for example, there are people who are going to buy Nike shoes. There are people who are going to buy Asics. I'm a diehard Asics fan. There are people who are going to buy Coach sneakers. You know, they sell Coach sneakers. Positioning is everything. And there's a lot of different ways to position based on status, based on, how it makes you feel. For example, since we're talking about shoes, some of my other favorite shoes are, oh my God, I cannot think of the name. Oh my God. Anyway, they're very comfy. Clarks. They're very comfy. They're not like the most stylish shoes out there. No, but they are super comfy and I love them for my leather flip-flops. Whatever. There's a lot of different brands and they're going to position themselves in different ways. Walmart is positioned as the very lowest cost. Just for any of you out there, unless you are the size of Walmart, you never want to use the position of the cheapest brand. That is not who you are. In fact, you want to go higher rather than lower. So position is everything, and it has to do with how you make somebody feel more than anything else and what problems are going to solve for them. So that, just so you know, is a little bit kind of about positioning. All right. So if you were, I'm so sorry. I don't have anything left in there. Oh, I didn't bring water. All right. If your audience isn't taking action, it's not because they don't need you. It's because they don't get you. So let's talk about some of the problems that are out there that I have seen some of you do. You're helpful, but forgettable. They're like, oh my God, that was so good, but they wouldn't recognize you again. They had no idea it was from you. You are speaking to everyone, so no one's listening. If you don't get in their head, like in their heart, in their soul, then they're not going to feel you and they're not going to listen to you. You can help anyone, right? But people want specialists. They want to know that you can help them. Like my particular situation. How many times have you ever been like on a webinar where they sell something. And one of the questions is always, always, my situation is different. Can you help me? So you want them to understand that you can help them and you want to be specific about that. All right. So generalists scroll by, experts get paid. Write that one down, right? All right. We're going to go into our framework. If you are a pen and paper kind of person, write it down. First letter is P. Pinpoint your people. And I am going to stay on this one for a second because this is the one where I think people get the most confused. So I'm going to go over it in the way that you understand it, and then I'm going to dive in a little bit. But so you want to get ultra specific on the people that you serve. So not just women or coaches, but health coaches stuck under 5,000 a month. Think age, stage, demographics, struggle. You know, you've heard all of the avatar type things, right? And the fastest way to do this is to use the framework, the I help statement, right? I help a specific group, like who you target, the person, who are struggling with, and then their problem. What's their problem? Now, when you are first starting, that is beautiful. That's perfect. That is the one. And you hear most people saying that. However, what I want you to understand and what I want you to really know is you don't have to go around yelling, I help women over 50 struggling with losing belly fat or whatever because of menopause, you know, and they're, 55.6 years old. You don't have to go around being that specific. Why? Because how you get people is through your content. So I don't want to get too deep into the hole here, but just to give you an example, if you have been in the game a little bit, like we have websites and we have landing pages. The reason we have two separate things, like a lot of people are like, I don't need that, I've got this, or I don't need that, I've got this. The reason we have two separate things is your website is like where they can go to just roam around and, find out every single thing about you that they could possibly, go down that rabbit trail. That's your website. It might have your blog on it. It's going to have connections to all of your socials. It's going to, maybe have some freebies on there, whatever. There's a million things that you can put on your website. However, when you want to zero in on a person, and this is what most people think of when they think of niche. When you want to do that, we use a landing page. Why do we have two separate ones? Because if you're a chiropractor, right? If you're a chiropractor, clearly you can serve everybody that has back problems. But if you want to speak to women who are pregnant and, for whatever reason, need chiropractor, they're going to have certain pain points, certain ailments, certain special things that you need to do. I'm sure like the way they lay on the table, whatever. They're going to have a lot of things that you need to get out there to them, right? So imagine doing that on your website, or you could do it on the landing page, or you could do it in your content. And so when we think of niche, I want you to think more in terms of content, because you could create a video for that woman that would so resonate with her. So resonate with her, right? You could also create a video for, a 20-year-old just starting off in construction and has a lot of back pain or whatever it is. You could create content based on a bunch. Now, do you kind of want to keep it to the same types of stuff? Yeah, because if you're throwing up all that content on the same, like say on your Facebook page, right? If you're speaking to this woman who's pregnant and this 20-year-old construction kid, if he jumps on your page and sees her stuff, he's going to be like, what? Okay, so you kind of want to keep it to the same stuff. But If they both have the exact same problem and you speak about that problem and then you speak about different scenarios around that problem, that's when it really gets specific, and when you can show your expertise and pinpoint exactly what it is. And that's how they know, oh, she gets me, she gets my problem. So the more content you do and the more situations you can talk about within that content, the better off you're going to be. And that is really like a better way to niche, because now you're dealing with a problem, right? What is the problem that they have? And then how do you fix it for them? So I don't want you to think that I'm saying you can go all over the map. I'm not. You want to zero it in as much as possible, but you don't have to say a 50-year-old woman, who does this, this, and this. And you've seen some of those avatar things where they get down to like the brand of underwear that people wear. That is not what it's about. When you do that one video, if you can talk about her Lululemons or whatever that thing is called, Lulumon, whatever it is, I don't wear them. If you can talk about that and she wears them, then she hears you and she's like, oh my God, she's talking to me. She so gets me, right? So that's when you want to get that specific, but it's really more when it's that detailed, it's really more on the specific content. All right. So if you're first starting out, just get it as specific as possible and talk about the group as a whole. But again, it doesn't have to be like down to their underwear. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions about that, please send me a DM. I'd love to help you do that. I'm doing some little audits right now that are kind of fun for me. So if you have any questions about that, I'd love to help you do that. I call it my BAM format, and I'd love to audit your bio. All right, so next one is O. So remember, the first one was P, right? Pinpoint your people. The next one is O. Own their pain. Use their words, not yours. And so again, you can see why when we're talking about certain situations and certain people, they're going to voice that differently, right? Let's just do our chiropractor example again. A woman who's pregnant has back pain because of the pregnancy is totally different than an athlete who has chronic back pain but needs to perform, or a 90-year-old woman who is still very active and wants to still be able to walk around. Each one of them is back pain, right? But a different type and different. So you want to use their words, not yours. You want to think of their scenarios, like how does that help them? Don't get technical. I always heard that newspapers write in 5th grade language. So if you use ChatGPT or anything else, like just say, speak to me like I'm a 10-year-old. I even say 5-year-old. Like if you can't explain this to a 5-year-old, don't write it. And I'll be honest with you. When I speak to my clients, I say, hey, tell it to me like I'm your 5-year-old little brother. And why is that? Because that makes them simplify it so that anybody can understand it. And I want you to be able to do that too, but in their words. I think I talked about this in our last one. So if you want to see that, just let me know and I'll tag you on it. But essentially, like if they say something like, this back pain is just, the feeling is just crippling, or the feeling is, depressing, or whatever it is. Like if they use those words, then you want to use it back to them. You don't want to start talking about the lumbar, blah, blah, blah. I mean, no. That is not how normal people talk, right? They're not going to be talking about the lumbar, this, and that, or the vertebrae, or the C, whatever it's called. Don't use that language. That's not how people talk, right? That's how you talk because you get it if you're a chiropractor. All right, so use their words, not yours. Example, in my world, I say lead magnet. Now, if you're just starting out, you're gonna be like, I don't even know what that is. right? So then I want to say like a freebie that you use to get somebody's, something that you can create in Canva or freebie, whatever. I would maybe explain it if I use the word or the phrase or whatever it is. So write down action, action, action. So the first one, your action was to redo your bio or do your bio. And this one, I want you to write down 3 phrases that your ideal client says in their head. Use voice of customer. All right, so if you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't have an audience, I don't have any customers. So for the moment, I would use ChatGPT, say use voice of customer, and I would also start interviewing people. 100 people, 30 days. That's your goal. 100 people, 30 days. And what does that mean? Just ask them a couple of questions. But that's 3 a day, right? 4, whatever, 3.5. You get it. So jump on it. Do that. Just start speaking to as many people as humanly possible every day for the next 30 days. Get your own research. All right. Let's own their pain. You need to understand their pain and their words. Why does that pain matter to them? Why does that pain bother them? So in my world again, some people want to build an empire. Some people want to pay off debt. Some people just want to, be able to make their own decisions, have choice. I'm kind of like a combo lady of all of the above, but not everybody wants to have all of that. And that's totally cool. But if every single video I did talked about building an empire, when I would say 99% of my audience doesn't want an empire, then that's crazy, right? That's me saying my words. But if 99% of my audience really doesn't want that or care about that, why would I be talking about that? Right? You want to use their words, talk about what they're interested in, what they want. And I know my audience. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Tell me the one thing, like why you are a business owner or a coach. What is the one thing? And my guess is, from many years of doing this, one of combination of, paying off debt, having freedom of choice. And I would say having freedom of choice is like the number one thing. And that is essentially why I started my business a long time ago. I wanted to be able to do what I wanted when I wanted. I didn't want somebody telling me when I could take vacation or not. Still riles me up. All right. So what's yours? Just tell me real quick. Just to, give me a little bit of things in your own words. But what is your reason why you wanted to become a business owner? Tell me below. And I mean the real reason why, not just, hey, I wanted to make money. What is that money for? What do you want to use that money for? Get down and dirty with your whys. All right. So in the customer's words, that is P-O. Who wants to guess that word? We're halfway done. W, widen the gap. So you want to paint the contrast between where they are and what's possible. Where they are and what's possible. I always talk about like the A to the B, right? You want to show them that that is possible. You want to show them, okay, you're here. This is where you want to go. And this is how we're going to get you there. You want to show them that so that they understand, oh my God, yeah, I could totally do that. That is so doable, right? That's what you want to show them. Because if you can show them these are the steps that we'll take to get you there, it makes the transformation tangible to them. They can see, yeah, you're right. That's not that bad, really. Right? They can see how it's possible. And that's what you really want to do. So your action for this one is, I want you to fill this in. They go from A, where they're at, what they're struggling with, to B, the outcome, the transformation. What is life like when they get here? Or what is business like? Or what is their body like, or their headspace, or whatever it is, what is that transformation? And if you're having a hard time with this, let me know. I want to talk to you. So just DM me. I'd love to help you do this. But you want to know, what is that transformation? A to B outcome. And then if you want to get really, really good, you want to add a time frame, the best, or approach, or both. Right? So what's your approach, the step-by-step, right? How you're going to get them there, and the time frame in 90 days or in 6 months or in 1 year, in the next year. That's fine. All right. People want to make it like in the next 5 days, right? But the reality is, we know most of the things, if we want to get something real done, it's not going to take 5 days. You might be able to tell me how to do it in 5 days, but it might take the next 6 months or year to make it happen. So that's okay. Any person who really wants to get it done and isn't just trying to buy a pill to, fix a massive issue, they're going to understand that. Again, people love the pills. That's why, the health industry is like a multi-bazillion-dollar industry. But you want to make it faster for them. You want to make it easier for them, right? You want to be able to crunch that time, and you want to be realistic, because without you, it might have taken 10 years or 20 years. So you're still doing it. Okay. E, elevate your edge. So what makes you the only choice? Methodology, your story, your experience. Shout it out to the world. This is where you really want to elevate your edge. Let them know. Here you shine, right? So stop blending in and start boldly differentiating. Let them know what makes you different. What do you think that is different? Like I just told you, the whole niche thing is kind of out of whack the way most people explain it, right? I mean, who's going to go on and say that? But it's true. All right, so quick action. Name your signature approach or what you're known for, even if it's informal. Even if it's informal. So what is mine? Start conversations, right? I help you have more conversations so that you can close more clients fast. All right. R, reinforce with results. So if you didn't get it, power, I love that word, power. All right. R, reinforce with results. So if you already have this, start now. If you don't have this, this is what you want to look for when you get clients, right? Proof, even if it's your personal wins. Hypothetical stories totally work. I mean, do you think every commercial is a real story? No, it's based on what is possible. Those are based on what's possible. They're stories that really could happen, but they're not based on Sally Joe Sue. You got me? And social proof. If you can get other people talking about it, that's the best, right? Other people, what are they doing that when they use your methodology? All right, so don't just promise the results, show them what they look like. And again, if you are starting out, there's plenty of ways to do that. If you've been doing this for a while, get those case studies done. I know it takes a minute to get them done. It's not easy. Give it to your VA, whatever it is, but make that a priority because those are so powerful. So, I mean, case studies are more powerful than testimonials because now everybody kind of blows off testimonials, right? All right. So don't just promise results, show them what they look like. All right. Your quick action. What 3 results can someone expect when they work with you? What 3 results? Write those down. Put them on your computer. What 3 results can someone expect when they work with you? All right, so let's do a little recap. Power. When you want to dominate your niche, your space, your industry, pinpoint your people, own their pain. Now, you see how these 2 go together, right? You cannot own someone's pain if it's everybody, because as I explained to you with a real pain, The 90-year-old, I forget if I was talking about woman or man, but the 90-year-old is going to have way different issues than the pregnant woman or the 20-year-old construction worker with back pain. It's all back pain, right? So own their pain. You have to be able to speak to them in their head. What's bothering them? What are they really worried about? A grandparent at 90 years old wants to still be able to walk around and hang out with his kids. That's huge. Okay, probably not so many are doing that, but you get me. All right, own their pain. It has to be something that they hear and they feel. Widen the gap. Show them the difference and then elevate your edge. Show them the transformation, widen the gap. Elevate your edge, reinforce with results. All right. If you want the niche positioning planner, drop niche and I'll send it right over. Drop niche and I'll send it over. So this is exactly what we do with Star Conversations Framework, because when your niche is crystal clear, when you know how to speak directly to somebody, your conversations convert so much faster. All right, DM me if you want to chat more about Star Conversations. Next week, what do we have going on? Turn DMs into dollar signs. Turn DMs into dollar signs. That is going to be the best. All right, thank you so much for showing up today. For me, for yourself, for your future clients and your current ones. Have an amazing day, and I will see you next week. Put it out there. Go shine. Tag me on your posts. I want to see them. All right. Ciao, ciao.